you're talking about women's boxing, but is there a bigger plan to this? Do you feel like, there is going to be normal boxing taking place here as well?
I don't know what you mean by normal boxing.
Women's
boxing is definitely
I mean both sides of
normal boxing. I would say the following. There's so much boxing in the UK. There's an unbelievable amount of events that happen, particularly on the men's side. And there's great promoters like Frank and George and Eddie and others. We're not looking to come in and try to just be another player in the market. We want to make an impact and do things differently. So women's boxing, we are going to be the reference point for that, and we're doing it with the best platform. B, if we come here with a men's card, I want it to be headlined by Jake Paul, because I think he needs to come back here after making his boxing debut in 2018 against Deji. That's how I look at it. I'm not looking to come here and do what Frank and George are already doing at the best level.
Well, what's the timeline for that? And in regards to Jake coming here as well, I'm sure you guys have got all this set, but what is the timeline for that to take place?
I'm with Jake on Sunday in Milan.
Okay.
His fiance is racing in the Olympics. We'll talk about what the timeline is. But I haven't shared that with him yet, so he'll see this before we meet. But I would love for him to make his comeback in the UK.
Can I ask you quickly, how is he after the loss to Joshua?
I think he's doing really well, right? He's focused on coming back in August. I think the realistic timeline is anywhere from August to November. And look, we wouldn't be here without Jake Paul. He's the one that gave the platform and the opportunity to these women to make us have the ability to sign all these women. And his impact is ever present.
Nakisa, speaking of Jake, spoke to Derek Chisora at the press conference with Deontay Wilder on Wednesday. He said that he doesn't think Jake Paul will return to boxing. He's someone that's constantly looked to prove the doubters wrong. Do you see that as an inevitability that Jake will come back into boxing in the best fights that he can get?
Good luck to Derek Chisora in his 50th fight. He has no clue about Jake Paul. Look at where Jake Paul is at age 29. Versus where Chisora was at age 29 in terms of accomplishments inside and outside of the ring. Let Jake Paul tell you what he's going to do, but good luck to Derek Chisora.
Is the strategy with Jake at the moment to have the biggest fights for the most amount of money, like an Anti-Joshua, like a Canelo, or is it to fight the guys like Tommy Fury and even people in the cruiserweight rankings to show that he wants to win a world title, as he said before?
I need to sit down with Jake properly. We've met once since the fight to see what his path is over the next 3 to 5 years. I will say he's shown that he does all types of fights. Of course, it's nice to do big, massive events and make big, massive money, but he has goals to be a champion. He has goals to get the loss back against Tommy Fury, so that's all on the table.
Okay, so what do you make of the main event you've put on, Caroline Dubois against Terry Harper? What do you think fans can expect from the fight?
We've put on a double main event, right? In many ways, in my mind, Ellie Scottney should be the last fight of the night because she's going to have the opportunity to be the youngest male or female undisputed champion. But for the UK, for the fans, it was logical to have the last fight of the night be two UK stables in their own right with Terry and Caroline. And you're seeing the build-up already. You're seeing the interest already, and I think it's going to be an incredible night.
What is the timeline for a fight with Baumgartner?
I don't think there's any rush. I think that's going to have the potential to be the biggest fight in women's boxing history if we do it the right way, right? If both athletes progress the right way.
Nakisa, now you're in the UK market with Sky Sports. Eddie Hearn, someone you've done fights with before, obviously with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Do you look to be working with obviously Frank, Eddie and the guys, and obviously Dana White's now come into boxing? Is that an aim for you, especially here in the UK though, to be working with those guys on the big fights?
Our goal is to provide our fighters with the right opportunities. It's not about who the promoter is. We have no ego in the situation. It's let's try to give athletes the best platform push. Kudos to Eddie Hearn. 3 times we've taken his fighters and put them on the MVP platform, his 2 biggest fighters in Katie Taylor and Anthony Joshua. So he put his ego aside and saw the best opportunity. If Eddie Hearn came to us and said, here's a tremendous opportunity for Caroline Dubois to fight on a matchroom card, and Caroline wanted to do it, we would 100% support that. So the question isn't would we work with them, it's what's the opportunity for the athletes.
What is your view on Dana White and Zuffa Boxing?
They're going to be successful, undoubtedly successful. They're well capitalized. They're extremely intelligent. They have a massive promotional engine with the UFC and WWE. If you notice when they publicize stuff, they collab on that on social media. They use all the same resources. They're going to be long-term players. People can't judge them in the first 6 months, first 12 months. I will say it's interesting to see the change of strategy from them, right? Now talking about, oh yeah, you can fight for a sanctioning body belt. Oh, you can fight for the ring belt. I think part of that is impatience potentially on Dana's part of saying, you know what, I want to make my mark quicker here. But the right strategy for them is to do it slowly and to build up all the athletes. I always say this, it's not honestly about who the best boxer is, it's about who the public believes the best boxer is. Ask my son, ask all his friends who the best boxer in the world is. They'll tell you Jake Paul. Even though he got knocked out, they'll still tell you Jake Paul, right? Because that's what they see, that's what they believe. So I think if they stick to their strategy, they're going to be very successful over the long term.
When you look at Jake,
A little bit about the magnitude of this fight for Ellie and why you've chosen Ellie to be on MVP Promotions.
Ellie is the best boxer under the age of 30 in the UK from my perspective. And she's the best person outside of the ring from my perspective, who she is as a human being. So it was a privilege to get to know her, to start working with her, and for her to have the opportunity to be undisputed on home soil on Easter Sunday. It's very special.
Nakisa, you spent a lot of time with Anthony Joshua, around Anthony Joshua for the last fight. Just a message that's bigger than boxing. He's been through a lot over the last couple of weeks. Just your message to Anthony and the team and the families involved.
Look, it impacted MVP in a big way because we got to know Anthony and Cena throughout the process. We did our best to honor them on Jan 3rd on our event on DAZN. I am going to go to Cena's resting place tomorrow to visit him there and say a few words. And, you know, it's not easy to go from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain within a week and lose your two best friends. So it's way bigger than boxing. And I pray for Anthony, and he's a strong, strong man. And I know he'll be back and use it as motivation to be even greater. And what better tribute to Cena and Latz than for him to come back and beat Tyson Fury when they do that fight finally.
Nakisa, working with Netflix as you have, now that Tyson Fury's in the pool with Netflix, you see Netflix getting in the pool with like an Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury type fight? And how do you see Netflix's reign in boxing going in the next couple of years?
Jake Paul brought boxing to Netflix. We've done 3 events with Netflix in the past 13 months. TKO did the Canelo Crawford. I'm glad to see Tyson Fury on the platform. You know, we look at it as positives when others come into the ecosystem, even in a place where we were, the first to do it. So I think it's great news for boxing. I think it's clear Netflix isn't doing this for the fight against, I don't even know the guy's name he's fighting, but they have a bigger vision, right? That's how I would think about it, because they want the biggest eventized moments in sports.
Okay, so what's your, obviously Jake and Conor McGregor's been talked about for years. What's your understanding of his contract situation with the UFC?
I think, look, publicly they've talked about they have 2 fights left, right? So up to them, and if and when that contract finishes, my hope is that we get Jake Paul, Conor McGregor first in boxing, then in MMA.
You said you want Jake here in the UK. Is Tommy Fury the obvious option, the rematch?
There's a lot of UK athletes that would make sense for Jake Paul from my perspective. Some young, some middle-aged, some older. My view is Jake has a lot of fans in the UK, and it would be a great kind of return to boxing for him.
Who could those potential opponents be, Nakisa, for Jake in the UK? You mentioned a few age ranges there. Which names spring to mind for yourself?
Obviously, the most obvious is Tommy Fury, right? That's a fight that should be made if Tommy is reasonable in terms of what the terms are of the fight. But I think Vidal Riley is an interesting fight. I think Darren Till's an interesting fight. I think those 3 names come to mind as interesting fights.
Definitely, and bringing boxing back to Sky Sports Boxing. It's been out of the wilderness. How proud are you to kind of not only bring a fight card back to Sky Sports Boxing, but also this card, which is stacked from top to bottom?
I'm proud of our fighters, right? End of the day, Sky Sports partners with us, not because of Jake and I, but because they believe in our roster of athletes. And that's a testament to Caroline and to Terry and to Ellie and to Chantel and the rest of the athletes that we have.
David, I just spoke to Ellie there. Obviously, once she becomes undisputed at super bantamweight,
She's got to win first, but yes.
She's got to win first, but she's very confident with that. Obviously, Amanda Serrano is obviously the queen at featherweight. That's a cracking fight between Ellie Scott and Amanda Serrano.
I mean, look, I love Ellie, but Amanda Serrano calls the shots on what she wants to do, number 1. Number 2, I would say to Ellie, move up into 126 first, right? Demonstrate that you have what it takes to hang with Amanda Serrano at a higher weight, because I think Ellie has supreme skill, clear, right? Most skilled fighter in my mind on the roster. Like, her skill is impeccable. Her style is unbelievable. But she's going up in a higher weight class. So if that's the path she wants to choose, we'll support it. But ultimately, her versus Amanda has to be Amanda's decision.
Final one from me. Alicia Baumgartner is obviously kind of said that she wants to fight Caroline Dubois. Caroline Dubois has said that. I mean, did the winner of Dubois Harper, do they fight Alicia Baumgartner? Is that likely?
I don't think the timeline is now. I think if we build that the right way, that will be the biggest fight in women's boxing history. So that's our focus. Up to the fighters, ultimately. If they want to do it next, both of them, we'll do our best to make it happen. But I think if that's done the right way, that's going to be an unbelievable moment for the sport of boxing.
Thank you guys.
When you speak to other promoters, they say that Ben Shalom did a job which left Sky Sports very trepidatious and wanting to continue with boxing. Did you, when you had the initial conversations with Sky Sports, did they meet you with some caution because of what preceded them, and did you have to convince them to take on boxing again?
Never had that discussion with them. We came to them with a product, a vision to put women's boxing at the forefront of Sky Sports. They've already shown a commitment to that with Boxer in the past and with the other sports that they invest in, and I think that was the focus of our discussion. Right, we're a young company. We've done some tremendous things, and this is just another step in that direction. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.